Good morning and welcome. We're back. Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Joe Jaquint, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And the bomb cyclone heading to the Midwest, just walloping Colorado yesterday. We had power outages and roads being blocked off and National Guard troops and all that. I'll tell everybody this, so I want to let everybody know. We have where the studio is in Colorado to the transmitter. It's a 4-mile drive. We know this because Jason drove it yesterday, and as most of you know, a little past halfway through the show, the station, if you were listening to 1360, obviously Phoenix was fine. But if you were listening to 1360 on the radio, we went dead. That is because the power company, and they're, believe it or not, in that 4-mile distance, that means it's a different power company for the transmitter versus the radio station. That company lost power because of the bomb cyclone. Jason drove out there. We didn't know this. So Jason, after the show was over, drove over to the transmitter to see if maybe there's something they could do. And we realized then there was no power. And then Jason called the power company, and they did the best they could. I think they had us back up in an hour or an hour and a half. But something for all of you to know, we were still streaming. So the show went on the stream. So if you go to 1360khnc.com, if you have that ability, I know a lot of you, hey, I'm in my car, I'm on the radio, I don't have the ability, but you can use your cell phone or what have you. You can always still catch us on the stream. And then the replay of my show, and you'll hear me because I heard we go off the air and the confusion there. You can listen to the rest of it that way as well. But we just, as we learn how things are going, yesterday was one of those days I was punching myself in the face for, why am I buying this radio station? We had a lot of stuff go on. We had a new, bigger pipe, if you will, put into the studios here in Phoenix. That actually caused some issues. And Eric's show, we did a repeat because we had our radio engineer here. CenturyLink was in here. Something that should have taken like 20 minutes. Took about 5 hours, but Eric will be back live today. That is 4 o'clock Mountain Time, 3 o'clock Phoenix time. So all you Phoenix listeners, you want to hear Eric, go to 1360khnc.com at 3 o'clock Arizona time and just hit the play button, and he'll be there. Yesterday, I got a look at what our podcast page is going to look like. We could have podcasting up, and I don't want to jinx anything, but we're pretty close. Could be next week. So that'll be great. That way, wherever I don't care where you are, you're in Colorado, you're in Arizona, you're in Hawaii to California to New York, you're in another country. You'll be able to go out to our website at 1360khnc.com and get the podcast of Eric's show, of the Colorado Front Range Hour, all of these other shows that we have on 1360 will be available to everybody. Right now, you got to listen live. But hopefully in the next week or two, very, very confident about this, before the end of the month for sure, we're going to have that thing up and running. So a lot of ground to cover there, but we've survived the bomb cyclone, and it's moving its way to the Midwest. And I'll say this, now that it's over, right, we'll take the snow melt, right? We love that part, and I hope everybody was safe out there. I know Jason, it took 3 times longer for him to get back to the radio station yesterday from when, just driving there, the 5 or 10 minutes he was at the transmitter, the weather got a lot worse, a lot quicker than he anticipated. He actually saw another guy go right into the ditch and all that other stuff. Be careful out there. It is called winter. 800-951-0592. And what a morning. By the way, it is quadruple witching on Wall Street. Apparently that means everybody's going to sell off gold. A big move down today in gold and silver. I'm going to tell you right now. Buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it. Yeah, because the data, not very good at all. We had housing data come out today. We had jobless claims come out today. We had continuing jobless claims come out today. China had the worst data in 17 years when it comes to how their economy is performing. No Brexit in England. I will say this, Eric was right. Watching the English Parliament, they could make that a TV show. I mean, I would watch it. Like here we got C-SPAN. Oh, we'll put it on C-SPAN. There's nothing to see, right? It's garbage. But in England, they don't mess around. Like, everybody's there. The whole thing's there, and they're hooting and hollering, yelling and screaming. It was pretty exciting. The Brexit got voted down again in England. That's part of the reason the dollar is stronger, not because our economy's any better, because it isn't. And you know what? People are starting to find that out really, really quickly. Remember, if you missed yesterday's show, go to our website, go to our archives, find Jeff Gunloch's interview about what's going to happen in 2019. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592. I'm going to run an item. We ran it yesterday. Did we run it yesterday? I get confused. All these days running together. But I'm going to say this. This item that we're going to put up right now is going to be data dependent. Yes, I'm going to use a Federal Reserve term. Yep, it's going to be data dependent. We've got silver down about 25 cents right now. Okay, $15.13, 14 cents, something like that. We have silver rounds, right? Silver Eagles. They're the 2019s. I can get them. I can. They're expensive, and I hate expensive. Right? You know that. What's our philosophy here? Buy as close to spot as you can and say as private as you can. A roll of U.S. Silver Eagles, they're down to $380, but that's too much, in my opinion. We have about 35, 40 rolls of rounds available in both locations, in Phoenix and in Colorado. And don't worry, you don't have to come and pick it up today, but order it today. When the weather permits, you can drive to our office there and pick them up if you want. We'll ship them to you. But I say right now, $325 for a roll of rounds. So you're talking $55 less. Same amount of silver, 20 ounces of silver, just not government hallmarked. And these are clean. These are clean-looking, nice-looking rounds. $325. But I have the caveat, if silver rises, because I got this feeling it's going to rise quick. If it does, then the price will go up. But right now, $325 a roll on silver rounds. It's $55 savings per roll over Silver Eagles. 800-951-0592. Take the time, put them away. You're going to be thrilled about it. We had housing data out today. This was new home sales. So we know existing homes have been getting clobbered. New home sales have done at least hanging in there. That all ended with the report from January. Sales of newly constructed homes fell 6.9%. as buyers, well, they've stopped buying. The Commerce Department reported this morning that new home sales fell to the lowest levels since October. They are below January's number, less than 2018, less than 2017. You get the idea. But the devil's always in the detail. Because with new homes, things are a little different. You have the new homes that are under construction, right? And we've all seen them in the subdivisions out there. And so, a lot of those homes, nobody's bought yet, right? The builders, hey, I'm going to start building it because, let's face it, to build a new home, it takes a while. So they want to, we want to have some stuff ready. And then they'll have, and how they track sales is when somebody goes into a development and says, hey, this is the lot I want, whether the home has been started or not, okay? Here's where the problem really hurts. This is going to tell you what's going to happen in February, March, April. Remember, and I'm going to say this, and you know this, I'm a big, big, big believer in what Jeffrey Gunloch has to say. If you missed yesterday's show, and I know we kind of lost power and got a little sideways there, but he's talking about, hey, after this little quadruple witching thing's over here, which ends tomorrow, get ready for Wall Street to not only go back to the New Year's Eve lows, get ready for it to go even lower. He thinks recession is already here. Yeah, already here. 2019. So in the data of these new homes, they said that the purchasers of homes yet to be constructed. Okay, so these are the ones where they're like, hey, this is the lot I want. I'll wait. Yeah, I know. Okay, you just put the street in. House hasn't started yet. Fell 27% in January. Not a very good sign at all. And again, as I said, new home sales below 2018, below 2017 now. The median sales price fell another 3.8% in the month. That's another, I think that's the third straight month in a row now of falling prices for new homes. It's still way too expensive. $317,200. Nobody can afford that. I shouldn't say nobody, but you understand. Right? I tell the story all the time when Sarah and we got married. We had our oldest son. We were young. I made, decent money. Somewhere in that 80,000-ish range a year. We bought a house up in Anthem, all right, and I've told this story a bunch of times. And I was the median guy, right? And even then, this is how it worked, okay? Anthem at the time was way out of town, okay? Way out there. And Sarah and we were bored, and we did the, hey, we're not going to buy a house. They were running full-page ads and all that, but let's just drive out there. Yeah, we bought a house that day. And it was perfect for little kids at the time. The house was $130-some thousand. I think we mortgaged like $132,000, something like that. Brand new house, 1,600 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And literally, when I tell you a postage stamp, I mean a postage stamp. And Arlene's laughing at me because Arlene lived in Anthem too. And that was That was the most I could afford. And I mean, I was doing pretty good. Now, granted, the interest rate was, I think, 7 and change. But even today, I mean, you still, I don't know where it's at, what, 4%? But now the median price is 300 and falling here, but what, 312 or 317, whatever that number was. How much money do you got to make to be able to afford it? And, oh, by the way, you got to have down payment. It's one thing on 130,000. Even back then, they didn't make you put. I think we put like 5% down. Maybe it was 10%, something like that. And I told you the story. I sold my tech stocks. How lucky was I? Right before it all crashed down, I sold out, and we used that to buy our first house. Could you imagine? What young couple today has, let's just say, and I don't even know if you can, but I would assume you could probably get away with 10% down. Forget about 20. But who's got $30-some thousand to put down on a house? What 20-something do you know that can do that? It's ridiculous. Listen, it's a house of cards, and it's getting ready to come all crashing down. I mean, the data that's coming out, and here's what's so funny. China's data today that about industrial production, the worst in 17 years, that's not good for anybody. The average mortgage in the United States has now hit an all-time record high. So let's think about this. The average car loan, all-time record high. Average student loan, all-time record high. Average mortgage loan, all-time record high. Why doesn't anybody have any money? I think I found the answer. Mortgages that consumers were looking to either obtain to buy a home or to refinance one hit an all-time new record high of $354,500. Well, this tells you two things. Number one, only rich people are buying houses, folks. Sorry. I mean, this is really what it means. There's no houses out there that the average person can afford anymore, and they're wondering what's going to happen. Right? We got falling car sales, falling housing sales, all of these things that we know are huge indications of what's coming. Look at Class 8 trucks. These are your Peterbilts, the Amazon warehouse delivery trucks. Sales are falling, not 20-something% like they did on new houses, 60%. The only reason why you haven't seen layoffs in that category yet is there was a back order. Thankfully, they've got so many back orders. They'll be building those trucks at least through the end of this year. But then after that, I don't know what happens. What happens? And so as I'm watching all of the data points continue to come in now, we've caught up from the government shutdown. All of the new data points now coming out are real-time, real data, and it all says the same thing. I really do believe that all of these things that are happening today are a direct correlation of what is going to be happening in the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months. And then you start thinking about if China's in trouble, Europe's in trouble, right? All of these other economies are in trouble. It's a double whammy. It really, truly is. And so when we're sitting there and thinking about how we come out of this, I don't know the answer. I mean, the government is spending $4.7 trillion just to try to keep things going. And you're sitting there and you're looking everywhere we turn now. How about this one? Here's another great article talking about millennials. Okay, so this is the category 18 to 34. This was in the USA Today, right? Not your right-wing publication, but the USA Today. Amanda Hill deals with big student loan debt by doing everything she can to keep her other bills small. I've had to cut things out that aren't absolutely necessary, she said. I eat out once a month. That's hard to do. That is hard to do. It really is. Who's got the time anymore? At the grocery store, have you been to the grocery store lately? It's not cheap. She limits her driving to control how much she spends on gas. She lives in an apartment. Right? Boy, that's really what this is. This is the apartment economy. I mean, that's all there is out here in Phoenix. That's all they build everywhere. It's an apartment. What's that? Oh, it's an apartment. Hey, what about Oh, it's an apartment. She's juggling $90,000 in student loan debt after graduating in 2015 from Hampton University in Virginia. I'm going to tell you the rest of her story and so many others like hers when we get back.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report, a daily broadcast from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, and we're upholding the legacy of Phyllis Schlafly, grassroots activist, author of 27 books, and articulate voice for traditional values for more than 70 years. Now, here's the president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, Ed Martin.
For our friends on the left, it seems like criticizing the current administration comes more naturally than pulling one's hand from a hot stove. Second Lady Karen Pence cannot even be an art teacher for an elementary school without drawing the ire of bored liberals. In this case, the complaint du jour is that the Emmanuel Christian School, where Mrs. Pence is working, does not allow their teachers to participate in the homosexual lifestyle. By the way, this was not the Pence's first dealings with this school either. Mrs. Pence taught there for more than a dozen years before her husband was elected to be governor of Indiana. Yet as soon as our second lady retook her old job on a part-time basis, the left jumped at the chance to criticize, condemn, and excoriate another conservative. A D.C.-based institution called the Sheridan School announced that they would no longer be willing to go to Emmanuel for sports games. Unashamedly, the headmistress of the school specifically referenced the school's Christian principles as being an obvious challenge to a fundamental belief in diversity and inclusion. While Sheridan would allow Emmanuel students to come for home games, their students would be wearing special rainbow clothing to show solidarity with the LGBT crowd. What the reactionaries on the left do not seem to grasp is that the Emmanuel Christian School is not doing anything unusual for Christian schools. Thousands of Christian schools all over our nation have similar policies ensuring that the values of the teachers line up with the religious values of the school. Just as churches are not compelled by the government to accept employees with lifestyles adverse to the mission of the ministry, so too do ministries like religious schools have that discretion. Vice President Mike Pence was right to call this situation like he saw it. When asked about his wife's job, he said, "The criticism of Christian education in America must stop." However, this attack is more than that. It's also a no-holds-barred attack on the Trump administration. If Karen Pence can't be an art teacher without blowback, no one in the White House is safe. We must stand up in defense of those who are working to defend America, like Vice President and Mrs. Pence.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. When America turns our back on our Christian heritage, we shouldn't be surprised when biblical precepts like honesty, kindness, respect, justice, and freedom are abandoned. At phyllisschlafly.com, we still believe in rights endowed by our Creator. If you agree, find out more at phyllisschlafly.com. Thanks for listening to the Phyllis Schlafly Report.
Here's today's millennial, and this is really how it's worked, hasn't it? If you really go in and you really just dig down to it, they've built the largest debt bubble in the history of the world. This is why they wanted fiat money to begin with. Right? Why did they hate gold? Why did they hate the gold standard? Well, because they couldn't loan what didn't exist. Right? With fractional banking, right? Think about it. hey, we only can loan, 90-some% of what's deposited. Another reason why they hate cash. They want those deposits. They're going to get them. It's coming quick. So somebody had to go under the ground to get that gold. It used to be a sign of strength. Right? What made America so powerful? America didn't have any debt. We didn't owe anybody anything. Debt used to be evil. Now, they've started this, really go back to 1971. It used to be older people had debt. You had a mortgage. And some people had an automobile loan. Not everybody. You got to remember, an automobile was, $3,000, $4,000. Top, $4,000. Man, you're getting them nice. $500 was getting you a really decent used car. I mean, decent. Now you spend $500. I don't even know if you can get a used car for $500. I'm sure you can. And if it works, it'll be amazing. And I'll use Arlene's son as an example. Here this kid is going to college, got a job, has to buy a vehicle, right? He's got $1,500. And trying to just find anything that'll actually run is almost impossible. So this young lady that the USA Today's talking about said she bought a Saturn from a lady at her church. It's a 2005. Okay. So this thing's had some, mileage on it, right? She bought it for $500. The lady gave her a solid. She goes, I was surprised it actually worked, she said. Dreaming of buying a new car when you get that first job out of college? Or maybe buying your first house? It used to be a rite of passage. Not anymore for these millennials. Think about this. In the 70s, really even into the 80s, there really wasn't student loans. Credit cards didn't even come into existence until the 70s. Really didn't become vogue, if you will, till the 80s. And what did you see? Right? You started to see the older people taking on debt. Remember when a new car loan used to be 3 years, remember? That was the most you could get. Right? That was the most you could get. Then it went to 4, then 5. What is it now? 8 years? Something like that? Right? People now buy a payment. You're not buying the car. I shouldn't say nobody, rich people do. But most people, they don't buy the car they want. They buy the car that, I can spend $400 a month. What do you got for that? Right? I mean, that's what they do. And then when they saturated all the older people, how do we keep the debt bubble going? Right? Now they've saturated all the younger people. Now, all of a sudden, all these young people used to be, when I was 20, I'll give you the story. When I bought that first house, I didn't even have a credit card. Right? I didn't have one. Right? I had an apartment. I had a car payment. I had a car payment. One car. Between the two, we had 2 cars. Between the two of us, Sarah and I, when we got married, we had 1 car payment between the two of us. One was paid off, and then we had another one. Didn't even own a credit card. I didn't have a student loan debt. I didn't have any debt. Now today, most of the people that are going to be would be their late 20s. They got credit card debt. They got student loan debt. They got automobile debt. Problem is they don't have the house or the kids. This is what they've done. If they could figure out a way to get a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 14-year-old, if they could figure out a way to get them into debt, they'd do it. I shouldn't have said that. They may try it. Back to the USA Today. It's not going to be you're 30 and you're married and you're going to have kids. It's not what it's going to be anymore. She has no timetable for when she'd like to buy a house or even make any big purchase. She still hopes to graduate school. She got $90,000 in debt. That's the other problem. Man, did they sucker everybody, right? It's been beaten in. First, it's like the 401k. They beat it into your head. You got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this. Not telling you they were whacking the crap out of all of us with their fees. They said the same thing about college. Convinced a whole generation that if you don't go to college, you're a loser. Right? Really, when you think about it, what do you really need to go to college for? Engineering? Yeah, right? Hey, if you're going to build a building over, a road, right? You got to know how to do that. A doctor, right? You got to be able to do that. A lawyer, unfortunately, right? I'm not no offense to you lawyers out there. But most of these other jobs, you tell me that you got to go to college to run a cash register? You got to go to college to make a phone call? Come on. And now they're all in debt. I don't even know how many kids I know that are in debt because they went to school because they thought they should have, even though they knew school wasn't for them and never graduated. Now there's so much debt from these kids. They can't get married. They can't have kids. They can't buy a house. Don't worry, though. It's all going to work out just fine. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break. The Midnight Rider, 800-951-0592. Have a pullback in in all of the markets today. The Dow, I don't know where the Dow's at. I don't know what these guys are thinking. I mean, I see the data. The housing data that was out today, it wasn't a good number, but when you looked at the detail, way, way, way worse than the number would indicate, which was the sale of houses that haven't been built yet plummeting 27%. I don't know if the next GDP, is Atlanta going to go negative here? The data better make a turn here pretty quick. Unfortunately, I just don't see how it can. USA Today going in depth, talking about 18 to 29-year-olds now holding $1 trillion of student loan debt. $1 trillion. I mean, everything's $1 trillion now, isn't it? Hey, what's the national debt? How much are you going to add to the national debt this year? $1 trillion. How much are you going to add next year? $1 trillion. What about the year after $1 trillion? How about $1 trillion? Credit card $1 trillion. Right? Everything's $1 trillion. I remember, I think the first time the budget deficit hit like $300 billion. And everybody was like, man, we got to get this thing under control. And remember, they all used to run, I'm going to balance the budget. Where did all that go? They're never going to pay it. And now we've taken the next wave, right? Remember now, these are the people that are supposed to buy your stock market, your 401k, your IRA. These kids can't buy it. They're not signing up for their 401k at work. They don't got any money. I got to buy a 2005 Saturn because I got all these debts. Now, here's the reality of it. Most of them aren't paying that student loan. Right? And then, of course, what? They can't buy a house. They can't buy, right? They can't buy those things without that. No wonder, man. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? No wonder. I can't figure, who's going to live in all these apartments? Who wants to do that? Now, it makes sense. Right? We got these guys so in debt, they can't pay it. They're not going to be able to pay. They can't make the payment. So they're going to be renters for life. I think they're they could, I think they're all made here. I don't know. I don't want to say completely silver rounds. U.S. most likely, but who knows? Silver rounds. Well, the price of silver's down. If it goes up, I have the right to increase the price as silver rises. $325 a roll. And like I said, we've got about 30 rolls of rounds in both Phoenix and Colorado. So if you want to pick them up, you can. If you want us to ship them to you, we can. However you want to do it, $325. It's $55 a roll less. So you get 20 silver rounds. And at least, and I know the ones up in Colorado are great. The ones I got here, really good-looking stuff, and all kinds of different ones. If you order, multiple rounds, we'll do our best to give you different ones, because the rounds are cool because the designs are all different, right? And that kind of is what makes them interesting here. But you're talking about buying them for, what, $1.10 or so, give or take, over spot on silver. That's what I'm talking about. That excites me when you can buy that close to the spot price. So right now, silver's $15.15. So you're literally at $1.10 over spot. That kind of is what makes them interesting here. But you're talking about buying them for, what, $1.10 or so, give or take, over spot on silver. That's what I'm talking about. That excites me when you can buy. Right? Hugo Chavez got everyone mad. Maduro followed his raid. The bankers all hate him. But when's the last time we're like, man, we got to do something about Venezuela? When's the last time anybody said that? Never? I mean, what did they do? They produced some decent baseball players. I mean, I don't get it. I'll tell you what, how about that? I don't even know. How long's the power been out there? I saw it today. Now the water's all black, right? You don't even want to drink it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What is that, Dave? I think day 5 or 6 now without any power. If you don't have power, things get awfully screwy. And obviously, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I don't want it to. But if it did, this would be a great item to have. These silver rounds, 800-951-0592. We have been chasing gold and chasing gold. There's just nothing out there. Today, $20 gold pieces, they're $1,410, 10 or more, $1,400. So, you're talking about $100 over or so on a 20 today. And that's just because everybody's buying. There has been no selling. I got a heads up in an hour or so. I've got to make a call. So maybe tomorrow we'll have something a little hotter on the gold side of things. But right now, the buy of the day by far are those silver rounds, $16.25 an ounce, $325 a roll. $800-951-0592. I love you guys. People are calling. They want everything but what Everything but what I'm selling. Of course, right? I'm the same way. Don't tell me what to do. I'll do what I want. People out there buying 20s, absolutely. 800-951-0592. So we got that horrible jobs report last week, right? And even I poo-pooed. I'm like, hey, it's not that bad. I may be wrong. The National Federation of Independent Business, commonly known as the NFIB, okay, they're a big small business group. They lobby in Washington. We've been a member, and they try to lobby on behalf of small business. And they have like everybody else, they have their surveys. They just released their next month's data. So this is a February data point. We've seen this number from the NFIB. This is small business hiring. Started falling in December. Fell again in January. Now the NFIB says it continued into February. Hiring plans for small business tumbling to the lowest levels in well over a year. And the big component about this that makes it interesting is when the NFIB and they put out this big report and all the graphs and all this stuff, they said, look at jobs reports 3 months from now. It's going to reflect what we're seeing in our surveys. In other words, the NFIB came out today and was warning that the hiring plan for small business has come to a stop, and that they slow down in hiring suggests we may be in for a lot more weaker employment reports in the months ahead. So this is an indicator, another one of these subtle points that they don't want to talk about. According to the NFIB, there's been a dramatic change in the hiring plans of small business, which they say normally shows up 3 months later. So you think about December was the first they had a big drop in December. What happened? February's number was horrible. Then they said, hey, January, it got worse. So, more weakness, right? Now they're saying, hey, February, it got worse. So now all of a sudden, are we setting ourselves? And I think it just makes sense. Yeah, slower growth is here. How slow is going to be the question? And I think, again, I hate to beat a dead horse, but this is the guy that in the 15 years I've been doing this, Jeffrey Gundlach knows what he's talking about. And people get mad at him. They get mad when he comes out and says, hey, don't believe the hype. Dow 25,000, nothing but a bear market bounce. Get ready. The big shock wave isn't here. And I don't know how these guys don't. This is the part that frustrates me. How do they not see this? 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. We will be back tomorrow. Give it one more shot. Make sure you tune in to Eric today. 3 o'clock Arizona time, 4 o'clock Mountain time. Everyone take care. God bless.